Hello everyone, and welcome to Counting Coin Mongrels.
I'm counting coins,
And I'm multiple mongrels.
and we're here to talk about funny movies. We watched movies a couple of months ago.
A
Abandoning-
couple of months ago?
Feels like it. It has been forever.
It was a few weeks ago.
It was a few weeks ago. It's been a couple months since we've talked to all of you degenerates out there.
It's been less
Especially,
than a month.
again, feels like longer. Especially the degenerates out there in Sweden and Italy. To the 3 people listening out there, thank you.
I'm honestly shocked that we've reached an international audience without having an audience somehow. Also, fuck you, Italy. For no reason in particular.
You guys are truly splendid, but fuck you guys. So,
Never liked tomato sauce.
controversial take. I'm not gonna lie. Hot take.
Tomato.
Only hot takes on this podcast. Okay, so 2 movies that we watched. First one relating to our intro here. We watched the Mario movie.
Speaking of coins,
Yeah, speaking of coins, yeah. What did you think of the Mario movie overall?
I say it's a solid experience. I would have enjoyed it 10 years ago more than I did watching it as an adult.
It's very well fit for a child. I'm sure all the children that were in the theater were very excited to watch it. And honestly, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It just I'd say the one issue it suffered from was just runtime. Like, if it gave an extra half hour to just, I don't know, develop the characters a little bit more.
Counting Coins and I here had the same problem with the movie. And
Is that my name now, by the way?
it's for the episode at least.
For the episode, alright. I'm going to refer to you as a mongrel from now on then.
I'm multiple mongrels. I am all of them.
Okay. Well, mongrel, explain.
Well, so both of us were like, it took a little too long explaining things. Like, Mario's sort of part of the zeitgeist. I think the example I used in the theater was the Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse. It didn't bother explaining to you why being bitten by a radioactive spider gave you superpowers, or what an Uncle Ben was, or why all the Spider-Men related to losing an uncle so much. It was just kind of expected that you knew what Spider-Man was because he's part of the cultural zeitgeist. I think Mario's sort of the same thing. I don't think we needed to spend so much time world building what a mushroom is or why the pipes teleport you random places.
Yeah, basically the shtick is you're walking into the Mario movie and you already know what Mario does. Like, Mario has been around for like about 50 years now, right? Everyone knows what he does. He jumps over pipe. He kills Funny Turtle. He eats the mushroom. He get big. He beat up Bowser. Pow. That's the game,
His
right?
princess is in another castle.
His princess is in another castle, and
Luigi's kind of a coward, and
Luigi's
his brother.
kind of a pussy. Mario's kind of pussy whipped, and why'd that make you laugh so much?
Wasn't expecting it. Whipped.
You kind of already know that when you're walking into the theater watching the movie. So why it took probably about 40 minutes of that runtime to explain it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It was a fairly tight movie, so I don't think 40 minutes of runtime is quite accurate. You've been just doubling time just over and over again today. What is with you?
It's called being dramatic.
I see. I guess you get dramatic when you count coins.
Yeah, when you count coins. Simply to suffice, the movie could have spent more time just having fun with the characters we already know. Like, there were so many side characters that could have had stuff to do, like, with the characters. Like, when we saw the wedding between... Oh, by the way, spoilers. If you couldn't tell.
Heavy spoilers. Movie review section of the podcast. Spoilers Incorporated right now. Ooh, that would be a killer name for a podcast. Spoilers Incorporated.
Kind of mid.
Kind of mid. I do like...
Do you want to open a second podcast where we talk about movies?
We talk about movies on this podcast.
Fuck this one. We'll talk about Hot Pockets more on this one, and less about movies.
Let's not turn this into a Hot Pockets channel.
Okay. We'll bring the Hot Pockets back, but...
Anyway, you were saying something about the wedding?
Yeah, so there was a wedding near the end where Bowser was forcibly trying to get Peach to marry him. Pretty expected, you know. Rape. Turtle rape.
Turtle dragon rape.
In the crowd, we see all these, like, major villains from, like, the games we played, the media we've seen Mario in prior, and they get like 5 minutes of screen time collectively. And that's just such a missed opportunity.
I think you doubled the amount of time they were on screen again.
I don't know about that one.
I'm pretty sure we got like a frame dedicated to each of them, and then it just went on with the plot.
I know it showed like a panoramic shot of all of like the seats, and all the characters sitting in them, and we saw like King Babam,
He
and
was
like
actually part of the plot.
he exploded, and then everyone died. The end.
I gotta say, standout scene of the movie, standout track of the movie too. So, huge part of the film is Bowser gets this invincibility star at the start of the movie from the Ice Kingdom, and he's planning on using it to take over the Mushroom Kingdom, or marry Peach. And Mario and Luigi get the star, and it plays like a remix version of the, the invincibility music that plays while you're invincible in the games.
That scene was pretty bussin'.
Honestly, though, standout track and just scene of the movie is just da 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 da. It's so good.
Yeah, simply put, the movie was really tight, solid. Again, either would have benefited from just not over-explaining or just extra runtime.
What do you think of the plot?
The plot?
They mix Brooklyn and the Mario universe. I don't think any of the Mario games really acknowledge that Mario's from Brooklyn. I think that's a movie exclusive thing.
I think so as well. I think they just wanted to tie in the plumber thing. Let's think about it this way. They had Mario and Luigi be completely oblivious to the existence of the Mushroom Kingdom and everything within it until they get warped into it. How else would you have ran the introduction of that movie? Say in an alternate timeline where you are the director of said movie. How do you direct the
I say
introduction?
we don't need to waste a bunch of people's time explaining what a Mario is. We could just literally start the movie with Mario stepping on some turtles, and it would be totally fine.
Solid.
Like, if the intro sequence was just Mario and Luigi kicking ass and going through what looks like an early level to a video game, I think everyone would be like, hey, look, they're doing the Mario thing. It's the Mario movie. Wow, look at that. And it would have been fine.
Yeah, sounds pretty solid, honestly.
You could play one of the, many copyright songs that are just part of the movie for some reason. Or just play Rockstar from Smash Mouth, and it's just Mario and Luigi hopping on shells and Koopas and, foiling a minor minion of Bowser's plans.
Yeah, just shenanigans. They're already in the Mushroom Kingdom, and then they've got that driving force of, well, it essentially follows the same plot, but it's like, okay, we're following these guys doing silly, whimsical things throughout the Mushroom Kingdom, and then all of a sudden, they've got this major plot line to go through. Like, maybe it's a shtick they've gone through before, but they gotta do it again. And this time, Bowser's gotten a bit more power than he has in the past, which makes this particular escapade interesting enough for the movie to take place in, because obviously Bowser's gotten his ass kicked repeatedly throughout the timeline, except for in the Mario movie timeline, because obviously the characters come from Brooklyn, oblivious to the existence of everything there.
I do gotta say, a big criticism I found online when just looking up what people had to say about this movie is, they sort of switched Peach and Luigi's roles, in the sense that Mario had to go rescue Luigi, and Peach was there as, his sidekick the whole time, and that's the opposite of how that usually goes. What do you think about that, just in general?
Honestly, see, the thing is, Peach could have just been generic, oh, please help me, I'm trapped away, I'm a damsel in distress and I can't help myself.
Yeah, but that's never been Peach's role. If you're a fan of Mario things at all, she's, fairly competent.
I know, and, that's why it's tricky for me to say, well, I wish Luigi had, more screen time and he wasn't exactly the damsel in distress, because in a way, he kind of fits the role better.
Hey, listen here.
He's kind of a bit of a pussy. Kind of a bit of a coward?
Luigi is a coward. Luigi is a coward, yes, but he's the bravest kind of coward, A fool knows no fear. A hero shows no fear. Luigi is both.
He is absolutely shit scared all the time. He shows it very well.
Yeah,
and
he also knows it very well. He's the opposite of both.
So what does that make him?
A foolish hero.
Okay, so he's a foolish hero. So, do you say he deserved to get stuck in a cage for pretty much the entire runtime of the movie?
I think he would have been fun and, neat as a sidekick throughout the movie. But I also really like how they did Peach in the movie, where she sort of, showed Mario essentially the power system of this anime.
Yeah.
I think what could have been just the driving force of the movie, they need to go get the star from Bowser.
I mean, yeah.
And Luigi could have just been there for that. If they didn't want to do the Mario thing, where Peach is the driving force of the plot and she's been captured by Bowser, which, by the way, is the Mario thing, and what I would say they should do, just because it's the Mario movie, it should do the Mario thing.
It's what we expect.
But if they didn't want to do exactly what's expected, I would have still liked to see Luigi there, because he is the coolest of the Mario brothers. Changed my fucking mind.
Both of them. I agree. I won't argue with you there.
He also jumps higher. He's actually better than Mario in basically every game.
Statistically in games, yes, but we gotta talk about the movies. Maybe it makes sense if he could run faster and jump higher, but only away from anything that's dangerous.
Which, in any Mario level, is every direction at once.
Mm-hmm.
Except, like, the intro levels.
Precisely. He just walked backwards. Never to beat the first level. Anyways, we're getting a little bit too meta, so back to the movie. Okay, so Luigi, what if he was swapped with Peach? How would he interact with the plot? What if he didn't get sucked away into a random pipe as Mario was going into the Mushroom Kingdom?
That did feel kind of contrived.
It kind of did. I mean, movie logic and all that, you know.
Movie logic and all that. Error of disbelief. They're already teleporting through pipes into Mushroom Kingdoms.
It's like, oh, but I mean, you know, it's already crazy enough. I mean, doesn't, you know, stray too far from this wicked reality that Luigi goes wee into this weird spooky realm, the dark realm, or whatever.
Bowser's Kingdom.
Bowser's Kingdom.
I like that he got lost in a mansion. Okay, you asked a question. How would the movie have been different if Luigi was where Peach was? Well, the plot happens because Peach is the leader of the Mushroom Kingdom, and she's showing Mario and Luigi around.
Right. So what if she had already been captured, and Luigi had to come along?
I guess Toad, the Toad we saw in the movie, would have filled Peach's role and taught the Mario brothers how to do everything, and been the main driving factor to rescuing Peach.
Toad and the voice actor for Toad were both really enjoyable. Do you think that would have been more fun?
I don't know. See, I really liked Peach in the movie.
Peach was really good in the movie.
Peach was really good in the movie. Peaches. Oh, we can't talk about the Mario movie and not talk about Jack Black's standout performance with that banger of a track.
Okay, Jack Black, maybe for the performance, not gonna lie, it was pretty fucking cringe. But it was also kind of funny. It was kind of funny.
Bro, that song's been blowing up. It's such a good song.
He just says peaches 12 times.
I know. Such a good song. You know how great a songwriter it takes to rhyme a lyric 8 times?
Okay, what if I say just orange? Orange, 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 I love you.
Guys,
yeah,
we have the next Mozart sitting next to me on the podcast.
Okay, buddy, retard. Oh my god. I mean, okay, let's take this seriously. Jack Black, pretty fun as Bowser. The problem is he doesn't convey a giant, fire-breathing dragon turtle. Maybe if the dragon turtle wasn't so menacing, if it wasn't Bowser.
The thing is, Bowser's always been a comedic villain. I think Jack Black was the perfect role. If anything, I'd criticize Chris Pratt as Mario more.
Oh, well, that's I'm getting to that. Okay,
oh.
That is another block we're gonna have to chop.
No, for sure, Jack Black as Bowser is 100%.
Oh, I'm not. If I had to compare the two, easily
not even
the
compare the two. Not even compare the two. I think even in a film where it's professional voice actors only for every role, but Jack Black is still Bowser for some reason, Jack Black is still the perfect actor for Bowser. He is the pick, the guy, the GOAT.
Here's my problem. Jack Black has such a unique voice and way of acting that every time I see Bowser in the movie and I hear his voice, it's what I see is Jack Black with a giant turtle shell on his back. I don't see Bowser. I essentially don't get me wrong, Jack Black is fun and hilarious through the whole movie, but it just feels more like a Jack Black that's covered in scales and a turtle shell.
I don't know, man. I think you're being too harsh. I think Jack Black did fine pretending to be Bowser. I didn't, at any point, my immersion wasn't broken because Bowser sounded like Jack Black. I think he was probably the perfect guy for the role.
I won't fully agree with you. Do I think it was very fun having him play the role? Yes. Did he feel more like Jack Black than Bowser? Also, yes. Aside from intentions in the movie, it kind of it was Jack Black.
I don't know. I think you're attributing a false amount of menace to Bowser because you're a Paper Mario fan and not a Mario fan. Because Bowser's always been such a dorky villain, man.
That's not even a valid argument to make about, because the Paper Mario one is the goofiest of them all.
Is he really?
Have
I
you
thought
not
he was
seen the
more
dialogue?
menacing in
He is absolute buffoon in the games.
Oh
I gotta
my
show
God.
you some Paper Mario later.
Mario
he is one
is-
goofy, silly guy.
Mario is honestly very lucky to have such hilarious villains. Imagine Mario with like an actual villain.
I don't know about that though.
Walk me through how Mario would beat Thanos.
Beat Thanos, I
Or
don't
even
know.
interact with Thanos. Thanos is like, I'm gonna wipe out half the universe because that's good on resources, and Mario's like, Yahoo! Pasta!
Mario would be like, Yahoo! Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
He'd like try to strike a deal, like he could fix his plumbing or something. I don't know.
He
Like,
steps on the invincibility star and starts sobbing as Luigi
I
and
don't
Peach
know.
get dusted.
I don't know. It's like taking fucking Walter White and pinning him against like Goku. You know, like the two just don't mix. Like Thanos is on a completely different power level, and like
Honestly,
you know
Walter
how
White
hard-
versus Goku is just Walter White experimenting on Goku and trying to figure out what chemicals can kill him.
Well, yeah, but
And
Goku just fucking blasts him and he
Well,
dies to
Goku
death.
wouldn't do that though, because Goku likes fair fights and he likes working hard for fights. So
Okay, evil Goku.
evil Goku, Goku Black. Don't shoot him. He's not
Can we
black.
not talk about that one? I don't like that Goku. Okay, here. How about this? Vegeta versus Walter White.
I think Vegeta takes it probably.
Yeah. Okay. So
Barely, though.
So Thanos versus Mario. Who wins?
Honestly, though,
If Mario has the invincibility star, yeah.
if Mario has
Mario-
access to the invincibility power up, I don't think
Hold up.
Thanos wins.
Hot question. Do the Infinity Stones affect the invincibility star in any way?
I don't think they can.
So if they can't,
It's an
Mario
immovable
wins.
No, it's an immovable object and an unstoppable force, right?
Uh-huh.
So Thanos has like the power of all creation in his gauntlet, right? Mm-hmm. But Mario
Yeah.
just can't be damaged. Thanos could blow up the universe, and Mario would still be there in the blank void, going da 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 da. I think I gotta give it to Thanos, but on like a technicality, because I guess if you erase the universe except for a person, you've effectively killed them.
but all Mario has to do is just touch him and he dies.
I don't think that's how that works.
I don't know, man.
In some Mario games, bosses have health bars. I feel like Thanos would operate on Thanos rules, not Mario boss rules.
You know, we were talking about Bowser originally and how he's like goofy. Let's go back to that. So yeah, Bowser is literally the goofiest motherfucker in Paper Mario.
I see.
So I think it's kind of hard to strike a balance between having Bowser be menacing like he was in some games and be the goofball that he is in other games. Because like Bowser in say Super Mario 64 is just literally a tyrannical menace, right?
But he's goofy.
He's a little goofy, okay? Take like, I don't know, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. Absolute fucking buffoon, moron, goofy, silly, wacky feller. That's a very fine line to tread, and I feel like they did it pretty well. But
I think Jack Black's the only way you could possibly play Bowser in a movie.
I think giving Jack Black either a slightly like just editing his voice a little bit to make it a little bit deeper,
I could see that.
or you know how
Shit!
you know
Like
how,
they did with General Grievous in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Or they take what they did at the end of the movie, because Bowser, when he was fighting, like used a couple of his roars that they've actually used in other pieces of media. They should have incorporated more of those into the plot, because that would, reinstate the fact that he's just a big mean turtle that goes rawr.
Yeah.
He's smart, he's got a conscience, but he's also an animal. We need to acknowledge both parts of him.
Bowser is sort of, I think he's the quintessential like literary representation of a bully. He's only menacing because he's the strongest guy in the room. Once he's not anymore, you recognize like what a goofball he is, and when you're looking at it from an outside perspective, it's really easy to see, really, really easy to see. I think Bowser is supposed to be a bully. I think that's.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So we got Bowser covered pretty much. What did you think of the Donkey Kong section?
Oh, I loved it.
Seth Rogen. Okay,
honestly, they needed to recast him. I didn't like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
You did not? I thought that was
didn't.
actually a really good fit.
I felt like everyone else was at least trying to step into their roles, or like a little bit act them out, or they were like born for it, like Jack Black. But Seth Rogen just sounded like Seth Rogen. Like
Yeah, but Jack Black sounded like Jack Black.
he did, but Jack Black is Bowser. He works. Seth Rogen
Seth
as Donkey
Rogen works
Kong.
as Donkey Kong, honestly.
Donkey Kong's supposed to sound dumb and like a monkey, and Seth Rogen just sounds like a dude who gets stoned on the weekends.
Same thing.
No, there's a good difference.
Okay. I'm just not agreeing with you on this one. I'm sorry. We normally agree, or at least come kind of close to terms, but we are just disagreeing on this entire talk.
We've been like opposites on a lot of topics lately, though.
That's okay.
That's foreshadowing for a later episode where we talk about gorillas.
Please do not bring it up. We can't spoil everything.
The only hint they have is gorillas.
Gorillas. Keep that in mind, guys. 4 episodes,
Somebody say
I think.
Peanut butter?
Okay, anyways. So, Seth Rogen being cast, honestly, was pretty good. I think the voice fit. I think the way he acted was a lot of fun. However, not the best Kong in the movie by far. Cranky Kong, best Kong. Honestly.
Cranky Kong is best Kong, I guess. There are 2, though, and one of them's Seth Rogen, so
Okay.
Cranky Kong's gonna win.
Come on, you gotta give him more credit than that, okay? Honestly, the DK arc was the best part of the movie.
Oh, fuck you. No, it wasn't. The highlight, standout part of the movie was whatever was going on at Bowser's Castle.
I don't know, it was kind of mid. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, the best comedic bits came from Bowser or stuff going on in Bowser's Castle.
Dude, they got
We were in the theater. You know the only times people laughed out loud was when that stupid emo star was on screen? Guess where that was? Bowser's Castle, motherfucker.
Okay, I'm not gonna laugh at the stupid emo star
You
going
did laugh at the stupid emo star. I was there, motherfucker.
Okay, yeah, it was a little funny. Come on, the stars turned around and said, "We're going to die in a wonderful fireball," or some shit like that. It's like, yeah, I get it. He's suicidal and it's funny, but like the DK scene felt really cool. The fight between Donkey Kong and Mario, showing off all the power-ups and stuff, and the fact that, you know, it was one of the 2 or 3 combat scenes we got in the movie. It was pretty bussin'. Best part though, honestly, was when they went down to like the secret facility and they got to like make their own carts.
That was pretty fun.
That was pretty cool.
I like that Toad made just like
Toad
the
made it
biggest,
literally
most, like,
the ultimate
impractical
compensating machine.
monstrosity.
Like literally have a vagina.
Yeah,
That's compensating so hard the dick went in.
Look,
That's how small it is.
he's a mushroom. They don't fuck. They spores.
I know.
He's not
It's
compensating for anything. He's just making a big car because he can.
Ultimate compensation machine. Also, Peach did have some pretty tight clothes on.
I was
Not gonna
wondering
lie.
if I was gonna say something about that or not. How old
It's
is
okay.
Peach canonically? She's an adult, right?
Peach
like,
is an adult.
like we're allowed
Okay.
to notice she's wearing tight clothes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fuck,
cool.
did you see the amount of shit, like, on Twitter and stuff about people posting, like, damn, collapse, nefarious lip licking? She got a fine ass on that bike.
Peach got a peach, if you know what I'm saying.
Basically, you
They
all,
named her
you
correct.
all are perverted. But also the cart scene was pretty cool. They probably could have done a bit better with, like, the Kong's carts, because unlike the Bowser carts, they weren't, with the exception of, like, DK's and obviously our main cast of, like, Peach, Mario, and Toad, they weren't very unique. Meanwhile, the Bowser ones come down and they got, like, giant plows and, like, grindy gears to eat up the other carts and, like, most likely the inhabitants of said carts. Like, basically everyone other than Donkey Kong and our main cast were completely useless in that fight. But for what we did get to see, it was pretty cool.
I mean, it was an ambush, though. I don't think that's a plot hole. I think they were, like, armed for...
Yeah, but
They were supposed to be, like, transporting the troops.
Yeah,
they
but-
weren't planning on fighting with the carts.
They
were planning...
were.
No, they were planning on getting there with the carts and then beating them with a monkey army.
Then why was Donkey Kong's and a few others equipped with weapons?
I don't know, because a rocket launcher's probably nice regardless.
Yeah, so why not put one on every cart? Actually, why not
Why-
use them
why
to
aren't
attack?
all the Avengers in Iron Man armor, okay?
Why aren't they?
Because it's less fun that way.
Gunpowder shortage, maybe? I don't know. Rocket shortage.
Only royalties allowed
Only
to use
royalties allowed
rockets
to use
in the
rockets.
Kong world building community arc.
Even though there were like hundreds of carts, like the gas there has got to be like ludicrously priced. Fucking California rates on that gas. Do you think the Kongs control like the gas market? Do you think they run a monopoly on like oil and gas since they're the main ones that use carts?
No.
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 I mean, Bowser uses some, but not nearly as many, I guess.
I mean, his, like, were bigger and meaner.
They were bigger and meaner,
Also,
but there
Bowser
were
has,
less
like,
of them.
access to the most area, so he probably has access to the most oil.
I mean, technically, at least
We're not even really shown what they're fueled with. Like, maybe, like, carts are fueled on hopes and dreams and shit. We don't know.
Tommy, they had flames coming out of the back. Do hopes and dreams make flames?
Mine do.
I know, because you're an arsonist.
We don't talk about that where there are legal people
Absolute
listening.
mongrel. Multiple mongrels.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Actual insane man. Okay, it's been about half an hour. Do you have anything else you want to talk about on the Mario movie discussion?
I think we're good.
You think we're good? Alright, well, that movie was splendid. That's not the first one we watched, though.
What was the first one we watched?
The first one we watched was the D&D Honor Among Thieves movie. And honestly,
Nerd alert.
Nerd
Nerd
alert.
alert.
Nerd alert. That one was way better than I thought it'd be. Way better. Like, you know how... Okay. The Mario movie was a video game adaptation movie, right? I was honestly expecting it to be pretty good regardless, simply because of the budget and the cast behind it. Like,
Also Nintendo.
there was enough competence behind that movie that I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is going to actually, exceed expectations of the normal quota of video game movies, because most of them are absolute F-tier dog poopy trash. Garbage. The D&D movie, I was expecting to be in the exact same tier. Just your run-of-the-mill, low-budget, awful trash movie.
Interestingly enough, every D&D movie up until this one kind of falls into the same category.
Mm-hmm.
Even the D&D animated series falls into the same category. I think trash is a little harsh, but definitely like low budget, not your cream of the crop, go watch it movies.
This blew that out of the water. Like, okay, let's not get too carried away. Not perfect. Not a 10 out of 10. Probably not even a 9 out of 10. But I could certainly give the movie like an 8.5.
I give it a 7.
You give it a 7?
Give it a 7.
You know what? Let's talk about that. Why do you think the D&D
It's
movie
probably
was
a
a 7 out of 10?
6. It's probably a 6 if I wasn't into D&D at all, honestly.
Really? Okay, elaborate. What are the flaws with this movie? And I'll go over the positives, because I have a higher review.
I don't want to be the flaw guy. Okay, after I go over the flaws...
You're
and
the
you
one with the lower score.
After I go over the
bitch.
flaws and you go over the positives, I want to talk about some just like genuinely fun cookies I saw in the movie and explain some like monsters and like spells and stuff, because I'm a huge D&D fan. So some of the flaws the movie had, the main character didn't do anything.
Yeah, Edgin.
He's kind of like Indiana Jones in the first Indiana Jones movie. You can kind of just take him out and the plot happens exactly the same.
I mean, yeah, but he's kind of like the comic relief guy that the whole movie just rotates around. So imagine if, like, for example, think of, I'm not gonna make that comparison. I thought of like, okay, think of Peter Griffin from Family Guy. He doesn't.
You can't take Peter Griffin out of Family Guy and it still be Family Guy, though. You could totally take Edgin out of the movie and the movie would play out relatively the same.
I mean, yeah, but let's think. He's kind of the plot hook for how everything starts up. He's like the reason why all these characters came together in the start. You know, the Barbarian, Forge, they all get together, steal a bunch of shit. He gets disbanded from the Harpers because, well, he disbands himself because he thinks that they didn't protect his family, when in reality, he was the downfall of his family because of the Red Mage. He stole their gold.
They're the
Red
Wizards.
Wizards, sorry.
of the-
Mage's wizard.
You're a D&D player. You know you can't just go around throwing mage around like it means something, okay?
Mage, wizard, they a spellcaster.
You are a D&D player. You know you can't just be throwing spellcaster around like it means the same thing saying
can.
wizard does.
Okay. Red Wizard. He stole the Red Wizard's gold.
The plot was a little over-convenient and very mixed up.
That's one gripe. This is why I say it's an 8.5 and not like a 9.5. The convenience factor is kind of off the charts. The shit that happens conveniently, like the Arakakra coming in, and the fact that they just, yeah, they've been there to appeal before, but like...
Also, Edgin had an inn. The plot was very confused. Like, it kind of went everywhere. It had several endings.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big criticism. Not only did it have several endings, it managed to feel rushed while having several endings.
What do you mean by several endings?
I mean, like, a good film has every arc and climax wrap up at relatively the same time. A good show has different arcs and different climaxes with one big one each season, usually. An example of poor film writing is when a film has, like, its emotional climax, its character climax, its character growth climax, its teamwork climax, and they're all, like, in different areas interspersed, like, 5 or 10 minutes apart, and so you just have multiple endings. So, like, the last half hour of the movie is just, here's where we wrap this part of the movie up, and here's where we wrap this part of the movie up. Full spoiler warning ahead. Okay, they're all gone now.
Goodbye, Sweden.
Oh.
Sorry, guys.
When Edgin revives Holga,
Yes, Holga.
that's the emotional ending of the film, and also the end of Edgin's character arc. But, like, Edgin's character arc ended, also several scenes ago on the boat when he talked to his daughter, or several scenes later on the boat when he talked to his daughter.
Yeah, but a character can go through multiple arcs.
Yes,
like a character doesn't have just one
like
problem.
They're like dispersed 5 minutes apart. We just had an emotional climax with this character, and then 5 minutes later we get another emotional climax with this character.
I mean, yeah, I guess the pacing's like a little bit off from there, but
also everything happens like super fast once they get out of prison. Like super, super fast. We never get a moment to really breathe and acknowledge the characters. Everything is just one scene to the next.
I actually argue with that. There were a few moments, like after your sorcerer boy. Why do I forget his name? Hold on, let me look. Do you remember what the sorcerer boy's name is? Simon. My bad. Might be. All right, Simon. He has to attune to the Helm of Destruction, right? He can't. Helm of Disruption.
Expecto Patronum.
He tries to attune to it. He can't. He literally tries for the whole day. They're all chilling at a bench in the middle of nowhere.
That's not
talking it out.
That's not time to breathe. That's not adventuring time. That's, hey, we got the MacGuffin. It's time to go do plot things. Oh no, we can't use the MacGuffin. Melodrama ensues. Like, when I think of a well-paced story, especially in the realm of fantasy, this is going to be super unfair to compare to, but I think of Lord of the Rings.
So what you're thinking, essentially, is you wanted a bit of, like, filler fluff to develop characters.
No, not even filler fluff. It's not Okay, first off, it's not filler unless it's an anime. Anime are the only things that do filler.
There's things in movies that fill.
No.
Scenes where just nothing happens.
When I think of well-paced films, especially fantasy films, I think of Lord of the Rings, okay? In Lord of the Rings, there is a scene right after the whole fellowship has gathered, and there's this epic, like, orchestral music, and they have to go and they try all these routes before they go into the before they go into the mines, right? Not the Misty Mountains. They go under the Misty Mountains. For gore. I'm a terrible fan, evidently.
We both for gore.
Anywho, there's a scene where they're all cooking, and, like, Boromir is trying to teach the hobbits how to sword fight. And Legolas and Gimli are off talking and joking around. Gandalf is brooding with Aragorn. Frodo is, like, starting to display, like, some distance, which is rare for him. And, he's sitting with the ring. You just get to see all the characters act and behave like characters and people. And then you watch them behave in Crisis, and then they go off and they adventure, and there's an orchestral score again. There's, like, a legitimate moment to take it in and breathe and, like, watch as the characters convince you that they're people and not just, like, vessels for jokes and the plot to go forward. And I don't think that the D&D movie ever had a moment where the characters weren't just a joke or, like, person possessed by the plot to make the plot things happen. There was never a single moment where I was like, that was nice. I got to see the character.
Okay, maybe they were sparse, but there were moments.
I can't think of one.
Can't think of one? Basically, when every character is introduced.
They're being introduced for purposes of the plot. They're vessels of the plot at that point.
Yeah, but they get to talking. They have, like, every time they get introduced, they're walking to their next location. They have some small talk. They catch up with each other. At least the ones that know each other.
Yeah, but they're talking about, like, what to do about the plot. They're talking about resolving the plot. They're not really people. They're, like, communicating to the audience, hey, we picked this person up for this. We're going to go find this person. Or, hey, we know about this person doesn't like this person, or hey, I can get my ex involved, she might be good for this mission. Like I said before, comparing it to Lord of the Rings is a bit unfair. I don't think that that's necessarily a fair comparison, because they're different types of movies entirely. As a comedy, I think it does great, and I do really love the movie, but like 7 out of 10, 6 if you've never played D&D.
I don't know. It just appealed to me a lot more. Honestly, it being kind of fast-paced, pretty nice. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love D&D. I love the slow parts of it, but when it comes to like it being a movie, if it was a series, it'd be different, and I'd get your point entirely. But we're talking about...
First off, it is a series. It's not a standalone. There's been a sequel announced for forever.
What, for Honor Among Thieves?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah, they're already...
No shot.
The director's already talking about what they do. There's like a confirmed Beholder in the second movie somewhere.
No shot. By the way, listeners, I had no clue this was actually a thing. Okay, that's kind of bussin'. And now I'm going to be kind of upset if they don't give the characters more time to develop in that one.
In a few years, I might be eating my words here. Because a lot of times sequels get announced that never get the funding, or the script never gets off the floor, or what have you.
Yeah.
But like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm pretty sure this is first in a series. And second off, even if it's not, a standalone movie should still be able to convince you of their characters. I don't know. It felt very...
I don't know. At the very least, Edgin very much so felt like a character because we got his backstory and everything about him. Maybe the other characters were a bit more shallow, yes, but Edgin was very well fleshed out. And even though he didn't do a lot, he was interesting regardless.
Edgin would have been more interesting if he was more competent, in my opinion. Not every character needs to be cool. I appreciate a good mastermind. I love it when a character can think their way out of encounters, but like, when I think of characters that think their way out of encounters and like can mastermind play them, I think of characters who also can do something when, like, I don't know, the action kicks up. A lot of people really hate it when, like, on TV you'll have like a hacker, and then that hacker will someone will go and arrest the hacker, and then suddenly the hacker's like a martial artist who can do parkour and shit, and it's like, that's unbelievable as shit, and I hate it. The inverse of that is like Edgin, who is supposedly this well-traveled agent of the Harpers, and his go-to in-combat maneuver, I'ma hit you with a lute.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's exactly cut out for Okay. There's a little bit of a gap there, and I get it, between him literally being part of the Harpers, who are like, you know, essentially agents of protection and all that. Yeah, I mean, they're meant to protect, you know, the people.
Harpers... In D&D canon, most Harpers aren't what would be considered D&D bards. And bards, for those of you listeners who don't know, bards in D&D usually have access to like a wide variety of magic that they can cast, and also can do some fun combat stuff. Mm-hmm. The only caveat to their magic is they usually have to like sing it or like put it in their performance musically
play
some kind.
Jams. They gotta, like, I don't know, string out the Weezer riff, and it's like
it didn't
and
always,
then, like, someone gets struck with a bolt of lightning or whatever.
It didn't always used to be like that. Old edition D&D just had it that, like, so spells you read, that's how spells exist, and since bards were so well learned individuals, they could just kind of cast some wizard spells because they had read so much. But as D&D evolved, it became part of their music that they could cast spells. Either way, bards in D&D are always competent spellcasters and sword fighters, and just all-around kind of badass. Edgin is neither of those. Most Harpers are just kind of agents that just like, there's a slave trade here. I'm going to tell some right people about that, break that slave trade up. Or, this lord is being unfair to his people. We're going to...
They are literally the definition of do-gooders.
They are do-gooders, but they're spies about it. You know, a large part of their organization is completely nonviolent, and even though most of the Harpers are musicians, very few of them are technically D&D bards. So it is, like, kind of accurate that Edgin can't do anything in combat.
He's not meant to be a combat guy. He's charismatic. I mean, to the extent he is. Sometimes they kind of play around with that a little bit. There's certain things that aren't very charismatic about him that he does. But for the most part, he plays like that. I think he fits the role pretty well.
I don't know, man.
I get he isn't effective in combat, but he does a lot of the talking and planning. They mention a lot of problems with his planning in the movie, but he does the planning. He's just not the guy to take and deal the blows. That's all.
he doesn't need to be. I respect a good mastermind. He didn't read like a mastermind. He felt like comic relief as the star of the movie. Like if in The Phantom Menace, Jar Jar Binks was the perspective character.
Honestly, I'd be down with that, like 100%. That'd be funny as fuck.
That's Edgin. Edgin is Jar Jar Binks, but he's the star of the movie.
I'm down with that. That's funny as fuck.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, so would you prefer if it was a different character for the start of the film? Like we followed a different character's background?
Yeah, honestly.
Okay,
like
so
if the movie followed Simon or Helga, I'd be down. Yep, 100%. Edgin would still do most of the talking in the movie, but he's not the perspective character. I don't know. A lot of it would feel awkward, though, because he is kind of written with main character status. Like, it's his daughter, it's his wife that died, it's his tablet that resurrects people that was going to be used to resurrect his wife, but spoilers, it's Helga. You take a lot of the emotional heart of the movie out when you decide to make someone else the main character, but, like, honestly, the entirety of the cast was just better as main characters than Edgin. So I don't know. I feel like the answer is to just make Edgin not useless in half. Not every character needs to be good at the action thing, but if you're going to make an action comedy movie and you make the main character bad at half of the encounters in the movie, and then you make fun of him for a solid part of the other half of the movie, it feels like a very underwhelming protagonist. I think that's a completely fair criticism.
Well, yeah, but he's not meant to be, quote-unquote, like a good protagonist. I'm not saying he's necessarily bad at carrying the role. I'm just saying in terms of the action, he doesn't need to be, just great at it. The rest of the characters pick up that slack. Yes, the story is built off of him, but they are together as a party. So the other characters in that party pick up his slack of not being the greatest at combat.
They did try to break up types of D&D players among the main cast of characters.
Yeah.
I read an article about it, and I even looked at the character sheets that they published for all the characters. Wizards of the Coast published character sheets for all of them.
Yeah.
And Edgin is supposed to represent the role player, the character with pages of backstory that barely does combat. Which, I mean, fair.
Makes
cool.
sense.
Makes sense. Sucks as a protagonist. I feel like it's completely fair to point out it's not a good protagonist.
He's not good at the combat thing. That's okay. And if anything, if they were actively trying to make him the role-playing type, it feats even better. And that also explains why sometimes the plot feels a bit forced. Because at the end of the day, it's a movie around D&D, and a lot of things that happen in D&D happen to also be convenient.
I don't know what you're talking about. When I run a campaign as the dungeon master, people are bitching about me constantly about how inconvenient things are, and about how I never go easy on the players for any reason ever, and about how if someone fails to pick up a plot hook, it's just gone now. I think you're attributing different styles of DMing to how the D&D movie ought to be, which isn't at all a fair argument. And also, I think, I don't know. I think you're seeing the nuance of it being a D&D movie, and you're dropping pretenses of, basic film etiquette. When you're telling a story, and half of that story is action scenes, and you've decided to make a certain character of your cast the main character, and then you decide to make the main character bad at half the movie, I think it's completely fair to point out that character's unfascinating as a main character. As more of a supporting character, I would really like Edgin. He'd be one of my favorite characters. But once you shove him into the furthest center of the spotlight, and you remember half the film is an action film, feels very, very underwhelming.
I'm still not agreeing with you here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna talk in circles, probably. Can I talk about some of the things I really enjoyed?
Sure.
I like that they used a gelatinous cube to negate fall damage, because that's been a debate between DMs online for so long, if whether or not the gelatinous cube can negate fall damage.
It's official, it can.
Well, we don't know for sure yet. It'll probably still be a debate. I like that because Wizards of the Coast is kind of not great about this. They pronounced it Arakocra in the movie, and it's pronounced Arakocra or Aakocra.
We commonly pronounce it Arakocra or Arakocra.
But Wizards has never came out with a pronunciation guide.
So that's about the most
the
official
new canon. The new canon could just be Arakocra.
So that's pretty much the most official canon pronunciation we have gotten to this point. Aarakocra guys.
For those of you who are like real OGs in the 80s, there was a cartoon about Dungeons and Dragons, where there was like this little guy named Dungeon Master who'd guide some kids around what was like D&D adventures.
Uh-huh.
And like all the kids had magic items to replace what D&D characters did like as class things. And that party of D&D players was in the maze arena thing at the end of the movie. Like those kids
Yeah.
were one of the parties of adventurers, and that's such a fun like
Callback.
40-year-old callback.
That was honestly pretty funny.
It was pretty cool. I like Simon used the spell prestidigitation to create the smell of fresh cut grass. And fresh cut grass is the name of a player character in the newest Critical Role campaign. So they put a Critical Role cookie in the film.
That's amazing. I didn't actually pick up on that one. I don't keep in touch much with the Critical Role campaigns, but I've heard things about them. They are apparently pretty good. Also one of the biggest D&D sessions like ever.
The movie, the title, Honor Among Thieves, is actually making fun of a really cheesy line that was in another D&D movie, because there's been several, and they're all pretty mid. Like, this is by far the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, as a one-liner, a character says, "There's no honor among thieves," or "What were you expecting? Some kind of honor among thieves," or something like that. Some really edgy bullshit. I think it's like 5-10 years later this film comes out and the title is Honor Among Thieves, and I think that's really funny.
I do like these little callbacks and references and stuff like that, but what about actual like core things about the movie?
Core things about the movie that I really enjoyed?
Because I mean, callbacks are funny and stuff, but like, you know,
Holga and Edgin's
things.
relationship is very wholesome and I love it. I like that it's completely platonic, because not every relationship needs to be romantic in some way.
Yeah, they don't need to be lovers, and honestly, it was pretty nice.
I love the
very refreshing.
I love the found family aspect in D&D. That's like one of the coolest things about it is usually you make a character who doesn't have much connection, and they're sort of like drifting and taking odd, potentially deadly jobs to make gold, and then they meet a bunch of people who are doing the same thing, and they form an adventuring party. Yep. That's like the most common.
Some motley crew that ends up becoming, you know, their new family.
Exactly. That's the most common way to play a D&D campaign.
Adoptive of each other and all that.
Right. And Holga and Edgin's relationship is, I mean, it scratched that itch. It was a very nice and very D&D thing to happen. I like that Holga was basically whatever the kid's name is. She was basically her adoptive mom, and Edgin saw that and was like, okay, you know what, resurrecting you instead. That was a neat arc. I felt all the D&D emotions from that arc.
So everything between Holga and Edgin, pretty nice, pretty sweet. I also saw that. That was really cool.
They had a neat bit of character chemistry going on. Oh, dude. I love that they were accurate with the types of magic items that actually exist in D&D, and they didn't just like make shit up. Like Helm of Disruption's a real thing. The amulet that turns Bug, the daughter, invisible.
Yeah.
It's usually a ring, but that's a real thing. Just everything they did was very D&D related. The Red Wizards of Thay actually do just make a bunch of zombies, and they're kind of like a group of necromancers. Baldur's Gate, actually just a really big, rich city, totally known for doing shit like that.
What did you think of the Paladin dude? The funny side character we got.
Paladin dude was alright.
Just that whole side plot, just going into the Underdark. What did you think of it?
Well, like I said, one of my criticisms about the movie is it's very confused. I would almost prefer if they didn't touch the Underdark in this film, and the second movie was them having to go into the Underdark to like retrieve something or find something or like get to something before the Red Wizards. Just so that it could be like this strange place that they have to go through, because the Underdark is like one of the like most uniquely D&D things that exists, and it's very cool.
They only gave it like probably a 20-minute segment, and
yeah,
they honestly could have probably given it a bit more.
And they really didn't. It didn't really feel very much like the Underdark.
It kind of felt like they fell into a hole into a really big fantastical cave.
It was very
The Underdark didn't feel like a different realm.
And it was very rushed and not well done. The Paladin, I made the joke that I guess he's the DM PC. Like, the DM had to assign someone to the party to help him out.
Pretty much.
This was the guy that's guiding the party around, and that's why he's better at everything. But, like, his dialogue is This is the Dungeon Master thinking from the character's perspective rather than the players joking around. But I mean, I don't know. As far as D&D paladins go, he very much performed and seemed to play like
he
one.
needed to, but honestly, the arc that he was in, kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yes, I get Thimberchild. There's 5-minute dragon insert. I mean, don't get me wrong. They had to put a dragon like somewhere in the movie.
The undead, like I'm gonna say errands that like attacked them. They were pretty cool.
The undead were pretty cool. Again, I'm talking about the dragon. What did you think of the Thimberchild, the thick chonk dragon?
I mean, he's cool. He's shown up in a D&D adventure or two. Like, he's a known sort of spin on dragons because they're normally like terrifying behemoths, and there's something kind of comedic about him. So I mean, it's cool.
With it. Inoffensive. I also think he was cool, but like, it kind of ties into the Underdark thing. They really just should have saved that for like, if they're doing the second movie, because having that as like a grand adventure would have been pretty sweet.
I also gotta say, the movie's Dungeons and Dragons, I would have really liked if there was an example of just a D&D dragon in the movie, just at all.
We saw Thimberchild, and then we saw like 3 seconds of a black dragon, which for the 3 seconds we saw it as it went over like all of those men, it was pretty accurate. It looked like a black dragon.
At least
for
it
sure.
didn't breathe fire.
The horns on the side.
At least it didn't breathe
breathe
fire. We've had D&D movies where there have been like black and green dragons that have just exhaled plumes of flame, and it's bugged the shit out of me.
They've gotten a lot accurate with this movie. That's 100%. One thing you have to appreciate compared to the other movies.
I deeply appreciate accuracy, and it felt like they loved and cherished the lore. And I deeply appreciate that. I just in the plot area, I'm a little disappointed at some things.
Okay, the world itself, like it feels like it's in the world of D&D.
It's hard to really say that about anything because D&D is Dungeon Master dependent. When you're sitting at a table, when you're sitting at a table, there's like a bunch of players, and the Dungeon Master is one of those players. And he or she kind of gets to say whatever they want, and that's just canon. It exists now.
I know, but the stereotype of medieval fantasy and all of these ragtag heroes and miscreants getting together to take down a big bad, whether it be a dragon or an evil mage or both, it fits that.
I gotta throw this out there to you, okay?
Okay.
In the books describing the Sword Coast, which is the setting that the whole movie takes place on, it does go into length about population sizes, about architecture, about general technological skill, about how things are constructed and what things look like in the country, about wildlife, about all kinds of things. And I feel like the movie did a very good job of capturing the essence and the feeling of playing a D&D session. But I do have to say, as a mega nerd who knows that shit, there are some things that just kind of irked me. Like the blimp. The blimp is not a thing they could do. That's not a thing that's ever been described in Baldur's Gate. It's probably like hundreds or thousands of years out, technologically, from whatever they were doing then. And also, magic exists, so you could make the argument that they would never develop a blimp, because a high enough level wizard can just cast fly on people, and then they can go soaring for a few hours. The boats, the forge, they were all, like, too technically advanced for the general setting. It feels like, rather than doing any particular research for, like, what things look like in that area, they just sort of put general, like, fantasy city or hamlet or town or forest backdrop and told you where they were. I don't think if you'd shown me a background image of Baldur's Gate from that movie and not told me it was Baldur's Gate, I'd ever be able to guess. There's nothing very D&D-esque about the set. I can see the love and the effort put into making all those physical sets, and they look gorgeous, and they're beautiful, and I hate to keep shitting on it because I loved the film.
I don't get it,
I
man.
loved the film, but you can't tell me it looks like a D&D setting because honestly it doesn't. It really doesn't. It looks like Hollywood maybe tried to make it look kind of like a D&D setting. Is the highest praise I can give it.
I don't know, man. I just think
I guess
fit the role of being a D&D movie pretty well overall.
It did. I've told you this once. I'll tell you it again.
The plot was a bit too convenient. Maybe some of the characters were a little bit shallow.
I've seen several D&D films. I know that there are several others that exist. This is definitely the best one out there. They almost got it this time. They came so close to getting it.
Say they almost got it. I think they got it. I think they did it. There's things to be improved upon, yes, but I think it scratches the itch that the older ones definitely couldn't.
I'm optimistic for the sequel.
Well, that's good. So you think we pretty much got that solved as well as we can? I'm still in complete disagreement with you, but that's okay.
It's okay. I'm mongrels anyway.
You are mongrels, and I am coin snatching. What did you say earlier?
Coin counting, I
think. Coin
think.
Counting.
Which works
1,
for both the D&D
2,
film and the
3,
Mario film. So, like, you had 2 segues
4,
you could have gone with.
5, 6. Yeah, we're going to need more coins. I'm complimentary, and this is Mania.
We're going to go find some coins.
Yeah, I only counted 6, and I need to go get lunch. See you guys.
Bye.